Interspecies politics was like interpretive dance performed by drunken octopuses, chaotic, unpredictable, and someone always lost an appendage. The Galactic Confederation of Allied Species prided itself on balancing the egos of thousands of civilizations, each convinced their method of exhaling carbon dioxide was evolution's greatest achievement. Far from the polished corridors of galactic diplomacy, the Vraxian Empire had claimed their slice of tyranny in the Cygnus arm. Picture scorpions with a talent for bureaucracy and a hobby in biological warfare. Their crown jewel, Outpost Nexus 7, an asteroid-embedded fortress at the edge of disputed space. The Vraxians called it impenetrable. Military analysts called it a death trap. Everyone else called it that place no one returns from. Nexus 7's defense systems could vaporize a micrometeorite from 3 light-years out. Commander Elise, Quincade was currently approaching it in a diplomatic vessel with the defensive integrity of a wet paper towel. Reminder, chirped the ship's AI, which had all the tact of a concussed goldfish. Vraxians respond favorably to displays of strength followed by reasoned compromise. So does my ex-husband, Quincade muttered. Didn't stop him from taking the coffee maker. The AI wisely dropped the subject. Humanity's integration into the galactic community had been rocky. Most species had evolved beyond violence, developing neural translators and etiquette protocols. Humans showed up with handshakes, hot sauce, and a disturbing resilience to toxins. Commander Quincade wasn't your standard diplomat. Before representing Earth in negotiations that determined the fate of billions, she'd spent 15 years in special, tactical operations. Her personnel file had more redacted sections than readable ones. Rumor had it she once incapacitated 3 aliens using a sock and a paperclip. They called her the Ghost. Today's diplomatic assignment? 7 hostages, human and allied species, held inside Nexus 7 after negotiations over the Proyon system. Fell apart faster than unrefrigerated seafood. Approaching final checkpoint, the AI announced. Vraxian sentries requesting authentication and purpose. Quincade straightened her uniform, a diplomatic ensemble incorporating 37 peace symbols and somehow still suitable for hand-to-hand combat. Transmit credentials. Request audience with High Commander Kreslak regarding the hostage situation. Authentication accepted. They've invited you to dinner. Quincade raised an eyebrow. Either they're more reasonable than intel suggested, or this'll be the worst dinner, since the Arcturians served live food that tried to escape. As the ship docked, Quincade mentally reviewed her Vraxian biology briefing. Exoskeletal reinforcement, superior olfaction, severe lactose intolerance, and a rigid hierarchy that made medieval Europe look egalitarian. They also considered themselves intellectually superior to nearly all species, especially the soft, fast-breeding mammals who stumbled into space like toddlers with flamethrowers. The welcoming committee was 4 guards in gleaming chitin armor and 1 official in slightly less, pointy formal wear, adorned with what looked like decorative acid burns. Commander Quincade, came the translator's metallic approximation of courtesy. Sub-Administrator Zarek, High Commander Kreslak awaits your presence at the consumption ritual. Quincade flashed her best diplomat smile, all teeth, no warmth. Delighted. I trust my colleagues are being treated in accordance with galactic protocols. Your concern is noted, Zarek replied, which was Vraxian for, they're alive. Probably. As they moved through tight, oppressive corridors, Quincade logged every junction, checkpoint, and object that could be turned into a weapon. The dining hall was a cavernous chamber that could swallow a freighter, its twisted sculptures either art or failed dinner guests. Kreslak, nearly 3 meters tall and exuding smugness, stood at the head of an obsidian table that mirrored the eye. Stars above. Commander Quincade, he said through his translator, voice like gravel through gears. Smaller than I expected. The human disrupting our Proyon claims was said to be formidable. I find being underestimated saves time, she replied. A dry clicking suggested amusement. Join our consumption ritual. The menu has been tailored to your physiology. Each course was a culinary threat. Victories served with sauces representing the tears of conquered enemies. Kincaid smiled and chewed through it all, complimenting the chef with exaggerated sincerity while scouting exits. "You tolerate our cuisine well," Kreslek observed as a goblet of iridescent liquid was placed before her. Essence of Nebulan crystal fruit fermented 3 stellar cycles. She raised it. "To productive negotiations and the safe return of my colleagues." It tasted of honey, cinnamon, and a hint of battery acid. But beneath it her nerves rang alarm bells. She'd been poisoned. Again. Used primarily for external repairs, the access panel's security bypass took 90 agonizing seconds. Each one dragged on as the burning sensation in her nerves intensified, like molten metal coursing through her veins. When the airlock finally cycled, she collapsed inside, gasping as atmosphere returned. "Step 1 complete," she muttered, jabbing a stimulant from her field kit into her thigh. It would temporarily dull the toxin's effects. Only about 12 more impossible steps to go. The maintenance corridors of Nexus 7 weren't made for humans. Designed for spindly service drones, they forced her into a painful crouch that worsened the ache in her joints. Navigating by memory and structural patterns typical of Vraxian architecture, she pressed toward the central security hub. The first obstacle came quickly. 2 maintenance drones rounded a corner unexpectedly. Before they could transmit an alert, Kincaid activated a compact EMP. They dropped instantly. She dragged the inert machines into a utility closet, vision blurring as the effort took its toll. The toxin was spreading faster than she'd anticipated. At a nearby junction, she connected a decryption device to a terminal. While it worked through the fortress's security protocols, she administered another stimulant. It hit like a lightning bolt. Chemical signals scrambled through her compromised nervous system. When the device finished, Kincaid had limited access to internal comms and, more importantly, security tracking systems. The hostages were still alive. 3 humans, 2 Arcturans, a Regalian, and 1 Medusan. They were guarded by 4 Vraxians, with standard-issue plasma rifles. Moving from maintenance shafts into the main corridor required precise timing. During a brief shift change, Kincaid slipped into the corridor, mimicking the stooped posture and nervous gait of a Vraxian lower caste worker. 3 levels and 2 security checkpoints later, she hit a wall, a full biometric scanner. It would flag her as human instantly. Each heartbeat now felt like a hammer of pain. Fingers barely responding, she murmured, "Adaptive problems. Adaptive solutions." She retrieved what looked like a decorative pin, actually an illegal hacking tool, obtained from a Regalian smuggler in exchange for a favor involving 3 artificial moons and a quantum bomb. Instead of spoofing her identity, the device tricked the system into believing it had already cleared her seconds ago, creating a ghost entry in the logs. The prison level differed starkly from the rest of the station. Gone were the chitinous, Vraxian textures. This section was clinical, sterile, and heavily monitored. A direct assault would be suicide. She accessed another terminal and uploaded a virus designed to trigger cascading malfunctions in the environmental systems. Within minutes, alarms blared across 3 sectors. Lighting flickered, air filtration choked, security forces scattered. As predicted, only 1 guard remained at the detention center. Kincaid stumbled toward him, clutching her side. "Help, something's wrong," she gasped in broken Vraxian, her translator rendering appropriate clicks and chirps. "Contamination in maintenance." The guard raised his weapon, mandibles twitching. "Identify." She collapsed to her knees, partially acting, mostly real. As the guard leaned in, she struck a precise blow to the neural cluster just below. His carapace. He dropped, paralyzed but conscious. "Nothing personal," she said, disarming and restraining him. "Well, maybe a little." Inside the cell, the diplomat stared in disbelief. "Commander Kincaid?" Ambassador Chen blinked. "How did you—" "No time." She tossed compact personal shields to each of them. "Limited charge. We're leaving." Ambassador Zurich, the Regalian, glanced at her with concern. "You appear to be suffering from neurotoxin exposure." "Still sharp, Ambassador," she said dryly. "Yes, I'm poisoned. Yes, the station knows. Yes, we need to get to my ship before I can't walk." Any more helpful observations? The Medusan floated forward, light pulsing in their translucent form. You require stabilization. Without waiting for permission, glowing tendrils extended and connected with her nervous system. The pain dulled, no longer an inferno, but a smoldering ache. That's surprisingly better, she admitted. Thanks, Axel. It won't last, so let's move. They crept through shadowed halls, narrowly avoiding patrols. When a drone appeared unexpectedly, their shields absorbed, the blast barely. 3 levels from the docking bay, alarms blared again. High Commander Chryslak's voice echoed across the intercom. Security breach in detention sector. The human diplomat is still aboard. Eliminate her and recover the prisoners. Well, Chen remarked calmly. Stealth is no longer an option. Always the optimist, Kincaid muttered. New plan. We're cutting through the service junction. The Arcturians took rear guard positions. We will delay pursuit, one said. No sacrifices, Kincaid ordered, prying open a hatch with stiffening fingers. Everyone goes home, or no one does. A vertical shaft yawned before them, 3 stories down. I'll go first. She secured a cable. Follow one at a time. The descent was agony. Her limbs screamed with each motion, but she made it. The others followed. The Medusan floated down like a smug jellyfish. They emerged 2 corridors from the docking bay. Almost there. But 4 Vraxian guards blocked the final stretch, weapons ready. Beat us? Chen whispered. Always, she growled, pulling a sphere. From her belt, shields to max. On my signal. She rolled the sphere forward. It detonated silently. A blinding pulse calibrated specifically for Vraxian senses. The guards convulsed, then dropped. Now, Kincaid shouted, charging past. The ship sat untouched, but her instincts screamed. Wait, she ordered. A scan confirmed it. Trapped. She accessed a hidden panel under the hull insignia. The emergency, airlock, really a covert extraction feature, opened. Everyone in. As the last diplomat strapped in, Kincaid collapsed into the pilot's seat. Vision narrowing, limbs barely responsive. Protocol Phoenix, she rasped. Override clamps. Max thrust on my mark. Warning, survival probability 17%. The AI replied. Better than average, she muttered. Mark. The ship blasted free. Defense systems came alive. What followed would become legend, described in classified files as creative use of diplomatic immunity, and in bars as the craziest damned flying ever seen. Half-conscious, Kincaid wove between satellite arrays, using them as shields. Then Chryslak's voice returned. Commander Kincaid. Impressive. Surrender now, and the antidote is yours. The visual feed showed him holding a vial. She smiled faintly. Nice try. Evidence of your violations is already en route to Coalition Command. You've got battlecruisers inbound. You're bluffing. Check your scanners, she said. Right. On cue, Coalition warships dropped from hyperspace. This isn't over, Chryslak hissed. For today it is, Kincaid replied, then blacked out. She woke 3 days later in a Coalition medical bay. Chen sat nearby. Welcome back, he said. We weren't sure you'd make it. The toxin would creative, the doctor added, but your augmentations prevented permanent damage. You'll have tremors in your left hand for a while. Kincaid flexed her fingers. Small price to pay. The Vraxians issued full apologies, Chen said, and rescinded their claim on the Proyan system. Nice misunderstanding, she muttered. There's more. He placed a data crystal beside her. Security footage from Nexus. 7. Classified, of course, but you've become a legend in diplomatic circles. She groaned. Great. That'll make future negotiations easy. Speaking of, Chen added with suspicious cheer, the Council promoted you. Senior diplomatic envoy. Your first post establishing permanent relations with the Vraxian Empire. Tell me you're joking. They think your unique insight into their systems makes you ideal. Kincaid stared at the ceiling. Next time, she said dryly. I'm ordering the salad. Throughout the galaxy, security protocols at diplomatic installations were hastily revised. Several species added new classifications to their risk databases, and in a secret Vraxian lab, scientists began developing a new generation of toxins specifically tailored to human physiology. But that is another story.